So this is the main screen of Canva that you see here when you log in. Personally, I pay for the Canva Pro version because I've been using Canva since about 2015 when I was still in journalism school, actually. I used it when I had to create infographics for some of my stories. So that's kind of how I got introduced to it. It was around 11 o'clock at night. So, all right. So for you guys, what we're going to get started with first, as you can see here, we're going to get started on a resume. So again, to build a resume, you don't have to have the pro version. You are able to do all of this with the free version. There's just some things that the pro version allows you to use that the free version doesn't when it comes to like elements and pictures and things like that. So here we are with our blank page getting started. As always, we'll name it. We'll call it resume Canva tutorial. Perfect. Okay, so we'll scroll through and you see here on the side, Canva actually divides it up. There's ones specifically that they think you may like, kind of like your Prime and Netflix suggestions. And then they break it down more into professional resume, modern resume, if you want a more simple resume, if you want a resume that focuses on infographics, if you want infographics but you want it to be minimal, a more corporate resume, so on and so forth. So the purposes of this demonstration, we'll just pick a simple resume. So depending on the company and who you are, some people will include their headshot with their resume just so people can put a face to a name, because in today's technological world, especially if you are going to be working from home, it's a little bit more of a personable touch. Alternatively, if you're not comfortable with sticking your face on your resume, see, and this will happen sometimes, but alternatively, here, instead of a picture, you can throw your initials, different things like that that really help you stand out. So we'll use this one, Olivia Wilson. All right, so we'll collapse that. So the first thing you'd want to do is obviously change your name. I'll put my name in there. And then right here for your headline, you can throw in things that you feel will make you stand out. For example, one of the ones that I like to use is Time Magazine's Person of the Year in 2006. And a little fun fact for you, you were also actually Time Magazine's Person of the Year in 2006. If you actually Google it, that year Time Magazine specified you, Y-O-U, as the Person of the Year. So if you had anything like a MySpace page, a blog that only you knew about but was public that you just didn't really tell anyone about, if you contributed to the internet in any way, shape, or form, you can actually stick that tag on your resume. And again, it's something that's really eye-catching that will help you stand out from other applicants. So here, you should upload your own headshot. But just to give you an example here, if you click on photos, you can actually Google headshot and a bunch will appear here. And the great thing about Canva is they only use stock images. So you can never get in trouble for using any photos, elements, or anything like that, because with the free, you're not able to access the ones that are like pro. But again, if you are pro, you're able to use this one, don't have to worry about copyrights, etc. But again, with the free version, you are able to buy the individual photos and then use them as you wish. And then you can just simply click, drag, and drop, and voila, easy peasy. So right down here, the zoom button, when you get to nitty gritty details, if you go to fill, you get a lot better overview of the sections that you're working on. So the next thing that I like to do is set my color palette for the resume. So one thing I always like to keep the background blank, just because there are some companies that use kind of like resume machines almost that they run it through. So that way it generates just a text version of your resume. So it's a lot easier for them to read. And if there's too much detail in your resume, like say you use a background photo or something like that, it'll actually mess up the information that the company sees, in which case they're just going to move on to the next resume. So to avoid your resume getting missed, keeping a plain background is generally the best practice. So for this resume, the blue bar right here, as you can see, and it goes all the way down the page, matches the title color. So you can go here to click on color, and a whole color swatch pops open for you here. This again is a pro feature, so you can actually save your color palettes for future use. And a nice thing that they have is the colors from the photo. They draw that out for you. So for example, if you wanted to use this one, it will really complement your photo, but you could also go darker. Since our text is more or less that color, we'll stick with this one. And so to make the heading the same color, going here with the A with the underline, pops open the same color bar for you on the left. And document colors, you'll see it appears right here. You click on it and it's changed. Perfect. So there is a lighter blue for the subtitle here and the headings underneath. So we'll change that color to match the resume. And again, we'll scroll down to photo colors. And then right down here, there's a really fancy option, change all. So any text that is in that blue color will be changed to the color we just chose. So by selecting that, it saves you the time of having to select each individual heading like this. So again, little time savers. So scrolling further down, under the skills summary here, there's little blue dots. So we could just click on one, hit the same color swatch again, scroll down to photo colors, and what you really want to do is pick one that is going to stand out. And again, it's the same blue color as was the heading. So down here with the change all button, hit it one more time and voila, all the buttons have changed. They're all the same color now. But a really fun feature is you can actually just click a different color and you can see what it looks like with all of the circles the same color. So you can just flick through, and we're going to stick with this one. But again, when you're doing your resume, you decide what you want. Perfect, and we don't see any more blue, which means we're finished with that step. Perfect. So a really simple thing that we can edit really quickly is your contact information. Contact me at is, I find, really formal. So we're just going to delete that. Contact information. We're going to select all. And we're going to go here for spacing. The letter spacing is set to 300. It's got a really handy slide bar, so we can just slide it downwards. So 184. And then we've got everything on the same line again. Perfect. All right, so this is where you would put your home address or your office address. This is where you input your email. If you've got your own website, this is where you'll enter it. If you don't, my suggestion is to delete it. It's not really great practice to leave blank space on your resume. So if you delete that, you can always throw in a little Facebook icon. So if you go to the elements here, you can search Facebook and it'll give you a variety of Facebook options that you can choose from. There's really a lot. There is no shortage. So depending on the style of your resume, again, you want to remain consistent, you can select the computer, hit delete, and then based off of the LinkedIn icon that we see here, the white outline will make us consistent. So we'll choose this one. Again, it shows up really big. So you just click on the side, drag it down to resize it. I like to try to not make it too small. So that way when I move it, I actually sit it beside the LinkedIn one. So I don't know if you're able to see, but there's a pink underline underneath the Facebook and the LinkedIn that shows that they're on the same line there. They're lined up. I then resize it downwards until that pink line appears across the top, which means they're consistent in size. So before you move it, a really quick fix, if you hit your color button, everything on there is white. So we'll hit white, and then we will click and drag. And again, we go based off our pink lines. And voila. Oh. There we are. Now we're all lined up. Perfect. Those pink lines are really going to be a savior for you. And then this is where you can put your LinkedIn or your Instagram, sorry. Really, whatever way you choose to communicate with someone, you can stick it in there. And then we scroll down to skills summary. So again, this is going to be dependent on each individual person. Just input what you think you're best at. Again, just by selecting the individual circles, you can change the colors. You don't have to stick with the 2, 2, 2, 1, 1. You can change it up. It really is up to you. Whatever you feel you excel at, put it there, let yourself shine. And then awards received. You can put those right here. If you haven't gotten any awards that you feel are worth mention that are relevant to the position, you can always change the heading and make it something totally relevant to you, but you can also take it out. So since we have educational history, work experience, and personal profile on this side, for example, you can put your volunteering and list it there. You can also change your icon under elements. And there's a bunch of different icons that relate to volunteering that popped up. So you can also get rid of that and pick something else that you want that you feel represents it better. And then again, the same goes with personal profile, work experience, and educational history. You all should have CanScribe at the top here. But just make it relevant to you and really make yourself shine. And then every once in a while, it's really helpful to go to the zoom function and hit fit. So that way you get like an overall view of what you're working on. And it really helps to stay on track. So another thing you can do, it's always important to download. Canva saves automatically, which is nice. You see up here, all changes saved. They do have a little pop-up that comes and interrupts your work when it doesn't save it automatically, when there's an interruption. So really pay attention to that because you will lose a lot of what you've done if you don't. So if you hit the download button and you're all finished, there's always an option that they suggest, but you can also hit it and choose depending on what you need it for. There's also the 3 buttons here with share options, print options, and recommendations. So again, you download however you want. If you're doing a resume specifically, PDF, as always, you hit download. And wherever your downloads are specified to appear, be it your downloads folder or what have you, documents, anything like that, that's where you'll be able to find your resume in whatever you named it up here. So it will be in PDF format. So when it comes to your cover letter, you could always create a separate document, but what I like to do just to keep it all in one place is just to add a page. And so to make it really easy, we'll go to templates up here and we will search cover letter. And a bunch of different options appear. And again, really personal preference, whatever the theme of your resume is so far. Okay, so we just had a question pop up in the chat. How far back do you go with education? So with education, it's best to leave high school off your resume, especially because you guys are doing post-secondary education. It just kind of negates having to put high school on there. And it takes up more space that you can spend selling something else that you've done in, for example, work experience. So for me, I have my high school is not on there, but I do have all my previous post-secondary education, even though my post-secondary education dates back to the early 2000s. It's still pertinent to the position because it's after high school and it's considered formal training. You're very welcome. And I'm always here for resume help, you guys, whenever you need it. Even after graduation, we do offer grad support. So if you guys see a job that you're really excited about and stuff, you can feel free to reach out to me by email and I will be more than happy to look over resumes with you, help write anything you need to, tweak cover letters. Honestly, whatever you need, I'm here to help. All right, so for the cover letter, we'll choose, oh, there's 3 different options here. Well, isn't that fancy? All right. This one does not match my cover letter very well. It's just for the sake of the presentation. So I'm hoping your matching skills are a lot better than mine. So it's really important if you go through the elements, that's another reason why I like to do it as a second page in here, because it keeps all the same colors that you drew from your photo. So it saves you having to have more than one tab open and bouncing back and forth. And there we go. And then if you look closely, there's also one down there, but it's a lighter color. So, photo colors. I feel like this is too dark, so we'll stick with this one. Okay, so now that we've done that main color change, we'll go to fill. And when it comes to text, like the actual text color, it's best to keep it like a super dark gray or black, just because with a white background, it's a lot easier to read. You don't really want people straining their eyes to read like a hot pink cover letter. All right, so for the title here, we will go and change the color so it matches. So our title here is the same color as the sidebar. Again, it's a lot easier to scroll up and down than it is to switch between tabs. And then we click on Patricia Brown, and we'll change that color as well. No pun intended that the color is the same as the last name. And then the text over here, personally, I find this a little bit hard to read. It's a little bit light. And we don't want to bold it because it'll take away from the Patricia Brown. So this is another example of where we can go to the photo colors and just kind of experiment with what we've got. So in that case, I would leave this one in the dark color and I would come back to the title header. And because you don't want it to be all too matchy-matchy, this is where this color will be able to help stand out a bit. Because it's bold and in all capitals, it's a lot easier to read that way. So if we go back out to fit, there we go, we're looking great. So one thing about this one, for her name, I don't really like the handwritten font. It's better to keep the font consistent with what's already in your resume. And then after you save it as a PDF, you can open it whether you use Preview, Adobe, whatever program you use. And if you actually sign in the middle part here, it looks a lot more professional. And it helps demonstrate a talent that you have. So we're going to fill and scroll down to the bottom. And so down here for contact information, you just want the more important immediate ways that they can get in contact with you. So that would be your phone number, your email address, and if you have it, your website, or if you're easier reached on Instagram or LinkedIn, etc., put your handle or your website for that right here. It's really handy, for example, if you put your personal LinkedIn profile site right here, makes it a lot easier for employers because as a VA, LinkedIn is going to be a great tool for you, especially when it comes to networking. So since we don't like this, we're going to see what font this is. Ovo. So we'll change it to this one just to kind of keep everything looking kind of the same. Actually, no, we're going to go with League Spartan. All right, so we're going to click on that down arrow and then all of the text that appears and everything, all of the fonts that are currently being used are listed right there. There's a little gray line that separates recently used from brand fonts, uploaded fonts, etc. The list goes down as you scroll. But the ones you're using in your document will always appear at the top, which is super handy. And each one is written in the actual font, so you get a little preview before you select it. All right. So now we want to check the font size. This one is 9. That's 40. So we're going to bring it down to 9. I'm going to have to type it in. If you hit enter, it'll be great. So because these ones are in all capitals, my apologies, and we want to keep it uniform, this button right here will change everything to uppercase. It also changes everything to lowercase, but for this, we want uppercase. Perfect. So again, the actual body of your cover letter is going to be entirely personal to you. So you can type it up in a Word document beforehand, a notepad, whatever you use. Make sure you check it for spelling, grammar, punctuation is extremely important. But go over it multiple times, read it out loud to catch any mistakes, because the more you read something, the more your eye actually just glazes over mistakes. So reading it out loud really helps you catch things that your eyes miss. And then after you've done it a couple of times and you're sure that it's perfect, you can copy it, and double clicking on the middle body section here, you can actually just copy paste it right into it. And it will take the font of whatever's in here. If it doesn't, you undo, highlight everything, and then you can special paste, and it will take the font of what's in the box. And then when you're done, you go to fit. And then again, for cover letters, it's always important to do your research. So try and make sure you've exhausted every effort to find out who specifically is going to be reading your cover letter. That way, you can put their name in here and really help sell the fact that you're good at your job. All right. And so it's best now to change the name of this. Instead of resume, we can put RCL for resume and cover letter, and then add up individual page title. Resume, and then my last name. Resume underscore my last name, and then cover letter underscore my last name. So this way, when we go to download, you can see here, you can select pages now. So I'm going to select page 2 to download my cover letter. And it will appear in my downloads folder. So you always have the option to go to your homepage or continue editing. And it'll bring you right back here. And you can do the same thing and download your resume separately. Or if you're applying for a position that asks for your resume and cover letter to be submitted in one PDF, before you do that, it's best to come here and this little arrow here, move up, click that. And then your cover letter will come before your resume, which is better for submissions. So you go back to download, all pages are selected, and it downloads both pages into the same PDF. It's important to only submit them together if it's specifically requested in the job posting. A lot of places do like 2 separate documents for them. And also it depends on the application process, because sometimes you'll be able to take your cover letter and attach it to the body of your email, because if you're applying by email, your cover letter can be the email. But again, it's always important to attach it to the body of the email anyways, just in case it gets forwarded. You don't want any attachments getting lost. Perfect. Okay, so we'll exit out of the resume. Well, sorry, before I do that, does anybody have any questions about creating a resume before I exit out of it? This is just a very basic one. There are templates where you can get into choosing different elements and things like that. But again, unless the position requires you to do so, simple is best. Okay. So we've only got about 15 minutes left. So the next thing I'm going to do, since a lot of you want to be working from home and being either a contract or a self-employee, we're going to go to the logo, which is what this guy is right here, but we'll go get a fresh one here. Perfect. So again, we'll name it. And on the left-hand side, you're going to see listed a bunch of different options. Again, divided by doctor, hospital, church logo, event logo. If you want your logo to be animated, it can do that. For fun, let's see what an animated logo looks like. So there's a bunch of different ones. You can hover over it to see a little preview. So for the sake of our presentation and the fact that we're VAs and not anything to do with any of these, we will collapse the sidebar. And as you can see here, it's moving around and around. So if you look up in the top left, you can edit the timing loop. Right now it's at 5.8 seconds, but if you click on it, you can make it longer or shorter just with a little bar. You can slide it. So if we made it quicker, it'll be 17 seconds before it starts the round again. And now we can choose the type of animation. So right now it's block. You can choose to have none. We can see fade. For the page animation, sorry, I forgot to mention, it's for how the words appear in the circle. They can tumble in, rise, pan. We'll just have everything tumble. And then you can just click on the blank space there and it collapses it, bringing your logo back to center. So as you can see, these are all individual text boxes that have been grouped together. So you're going to have to click on them separately to edit each individual one. So you can double click on it. I'll put my name in here for the example. Instead of an and, I'll put my middle initial. And then because I don't serve steaks and shakes, I'm going to double click on it. Virtual assistant, and you can keep it at virtual assistant or you can do virtual assistant services. Again, it's up to you and whatever your company name is, however you want your logo to look. And so now that we've done that, we can actually click on each individual circle and you can edit the colors. So whatever you decide you want your logo colors to be, you can stick them in here in any way that you want. I find it best after you edit one color, click on this blank space here, and then go in and hover to find the others. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to go for the color of the text. So because we had that color there, we'll try this one. And I personally think it's too light. And I don't see anything in my palettes that I've saved that really go with it. So a really fun thing to do is you can click here and it opens up a fun little color wheel. Well, color square, I guess. And you can drag it around and you can actually watch on the right how the color changes as you drag. So you can actually hold down on the mouse until you find the color that you want. We want ours to be a little darker because it's easier to read, so we'll start there. Perfect. And then it's here and it shows up as a cool new color box. And so because we did that, the red doesn't really go anymore. And we click inside the text box here. And now that we can see the cursor, we'll move it to the end of the black, highlight the chase in red, click the document color, and voila, we're all switched up. And the great thing about logos, when you go to download, this one would be an MP4 video because it's animated. But say, for example, we did not have any animation. Well, I guess I can't do that yet. Okay, I'd have to create a separate one. Anyways, again, you can click here to pick any type that you want, or here, if you want to print it on a t-shirt, business cards, canvases, whatever you need your logo for. For us, we're going to download the MP4 video because we wanted an animated logo. It's nice to give you a little preview here of what it could look like on the back of a business card. But again, pictures don't move in real life, so it wouldn't exactly look like that. So we're going to exit out of that logo. And on the main page, we're just going to open up this logo really quickly. This is a template that was already in Canva. So say, for example, this was our standard logo, not animated. We would go over here and just rename it. So we'd make sure everything's the way that we want it. And when we go to download, it's really cool because you want it in a PNG. That's really what's best when it comes to your logo out of what they have here for selections. Go to your PNG, but you can also hit transparent background. So when you do that, it's really great. Because we'll go here to uploads on our device. In our downloads folder, there's our logo. We're just going to select all of this and delete it for the sake of this demonstration. But here is where your photo appears. And you see how it's black? That means there's a transparent background. So when you click on it and it appears, and again, the beautiful pink lines that keep us symmetrical, it appears there. And it's got a clear background. So you can click on the background. You can go to the color swatch. You can change the background colors to whatever you want, and your logo remains the same. So it's really great, for example, if you took photos and you want your logo to be on it, you make sure it's got a transparent background, and you can put it on the bottom right or left-hand corner of your photo. That way, for copyright issues, nobody can steal it or use it. Different little things like that. All right, well, now we're at 9 after 12, so I'm gonna open it up to you guys. Do you have any questions or any quick little run-throughs that you want me to go through with you right now? Yes, they are. So what I'll do is I'll undo all of these fun random changes I just made. There we go. So now we're back to the standard logo. So if, for example, you really like the look of this and you want to use it for yours, you're more than able to do it. That's one of the great things about Canva. You just type your name in there. Voila. Virtual assistant. Ooh, no, that's not what I want. There we go. And so what you can do is make it a little bit smaller, line it up, and there you are. And then you can use that for your own, and you can play with the colors, whatever you want. That's one of the great things about templates is also too, like if you're stuck for ideas, You could just scroll through because while they're separated up here, the further down you get, there we go. It just goes all designs. So you're able to literally look through a bunch. And a lot of times it really starts getting the juices flowing and you're like, oh, I like the look of that. But I would do it a little bit differently. And so it's also great too. You can select a template. And if you're like, I like this, but I don't like the font, you can go in and all down the side, they've got listed a whole bunch of fonts. And another great thing you can do too is if you don't see a font in here that you like, Google Fonts is great. So if you literally just go to Google and Google Fonts, you'll see the web page pop up right there. And Google Fonts actually gives you a bunch of different suggestions. You can pick like what type of heading you want, like what type of header style you want, like for virtual assistant. And it'll give you a bunch of different options for fonts that complement your header font. So it's a really great tool and you can go through there, pick different ones. Canva itself, if you go to the home page, if you go to learn in the top left, Canva has a bunch of tutorials. They've got a little design school. They've got a blog where they go over how to make your color swatches and different things like that. So when it comes to lifelong learning, Canva is also a really great platform because they educate their users. They really want you to be able to use their platform to its full potential. And as someone who's been using the platform for a while, I can say it's done nothing but improve. So up here, I'll just show you guys this while we wait for some more questions to come in, if there's any. So there's different presentations that you can choose from. If, for example, you have to give a presentation. They have different social media designs that you can choose from. So it can be your Facebook cover photo, a story for Instagram, a TikTok video, whatever it is that you're whipping up, they can help. They've got different videos. So be it a YouTube ad, a Facebook video, mobile video. They've got a bunch of different templates to help. There's also print products. So if you want to, say, for example, put your logo on a mug, if you want to design yourself business cards, stickers, postcards, etc., those are all in here. T-shirt. And then for marketing, you have posters, logos, flyers, blog banners, labels. Really, the possibilities are endless. And then for Office, there's resume, an A4 document if you have to give a report specifically if it's a specific report, planner pages, etc. At this point, just with COVID-19 and everything that's happening, business cards would be something that you could order for future use. So since technology and stuff changes so frequently and we sometimes have to update cell phones and things like that, I would wait until we get the word from our health officials that everything will be opening back up and everything is safe. So once networking events really start picking up again, then it would be a good idea to invest in business cards. But until then, honestly, Instagram and Facebook ads go a lot further. Oh, and also a fun fact that I learned. If you are going to be using social media to promote yourself, the stories function that each social media app tends to have now. They did a study, and consumers are 85% less likely to trust a brand if they don't post a story. So using a story to give your viewers kind of like an inside look at what a day in the life of a VA is like, or a day in the life of a VA job hunt kind of thing, will really help not only add to your content, but will give that trust base between you and your viewers. All right. Well, if that's everything, I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Just going to pop on over to our window and